buckle up, because tonight we're taking a deep dive into a theory about Batman and the Joker that might just leave you seeing double, seeing one where you thought there were two.
Yeah, this one really gets you thinking. We're not talking about a simple good guy versus bad guy kind of thing.
Oh, no.
This theory is saying that Batman and the Joker, they might be two sides of the same, well, messed up coin.
Two sides of the same coin. It's a pretty wild concept.
Yeah.
And to really understand it, we've got to sort of start back at the beginning, but not the beginning you might be thinking of.
Right.
So the traditional origin story, we all know it. The Waynes get murdered, poor Bruce, yada, yada.
But hang on. This theory says, hold on a second, what if that night in Crime Alley wasn't just some random act of violence?
Ooh, okay, so we're going deep already. So what, is this theory saying little Bruce was, like, in on it somehow?
Well, yeah, sort of. Some of the stuff we've been looking at suggests that maybe Bruce, you know, young as he was, maybe he wasn't completely innocent that night.
Oh, wow. Okay, you're going to have to unpack that one for me. I mean, that's a pretty huge claim.
Right, right. So the theory goes that Bruce, even as a kid, wanted the Wayne fortune all to himself. And this theory is saying that maybe he played a part in his parents' deaths to make that happen.
So not just a witness to tragedy, but the mastermind.
Yeah. It's dark, for sure. And you can see how that kind of thing could really mess a kid up, right?
I mean, that's got to be some serious trauma right there, right? To orchestrate your own parents' deaths, to basically, inherit everything? That's cold.
Ice cold. And this is where the Joker comes in. The theory is saying that the Joker is like, he's what happens when you bottle up that kind of guilt, that kind of darkness.
So instead of dealing with the grief and the guilt in a healthy way, it all just gets kind of twisted up inside and boom, out pops the Joker.
Exactly. It's like his mind couldn't handle the truth, so it had to invent this whole other persona, this chaotic outlet for all that buried guilt.
So the Joker's not just some random bad guy. He's like a walking, talking symptom of Bruce Wayne's messed up past.
You got it. He's like Bruce's dark side given form. And it's interesting, even the name Joker, it kind of fits in a really messed up way.
Yeah, now that you mention it,
yeah,
it's like Bruce thinks he's going to be free, right?
Yeah.
Free with all this money after his parents are gone. But in reality, it's like he's trapped by this horrific choice. And the Joker, that's like the punchline to this twisted joke he played on himself.
It's like a cruel cosmic irony, right? Like, oh, you want to be rich? Well, here's your reward. A lifetime of torment and madness.
Talk about a bad deal.
And it also makes you look at the whole Batman-Joker thing differently.
Totally. I mean, if you think about it, Batman could have taken the Joker out 1,000,000 times.
Right. And why hasn't he? I mean, Batman's always stopping the Joker's crazy schemes, but he never actually gets rid of him for good.
Yeah. Always back to Arkham. It's almost comical if it wasn't so dark.
Well, that's kind of the point this theory's making, right? It's saying that Batman can't kill the Joker? Not really. Because the Joker is a part of him. Think about it. The Joker is Bruce's deepest, darkest secret. The one he can never really face.
Oh. So it's not just Batman being good and not killing.
It's more like he can't destroy the Joker without destroying himself, at least psychologically.
Gee.
It even changes how you see that whole "you complete me" line from the Joker.
Oh, man, that line. Chillin'. You're telling me it wasn't just villain talk.
This theory saying, no way, it's a confession. The Joker needs Batman just as much as Batman needs the Joker. They're two halves of the same whole. They're stuck with each other.
That's intense. And it makes you wonder about the Joker himself, right? I mean, the guy's a total enigma.
The biggest mystery about the Joker, his past. No one knows where he came from, who he really is. It's always changing.
Right. Like Batman, we know his origin story. It's set in stone. But the Joker, it's like trying to nail jelly to a wall.
Exactly. And this theory says maybe that's on purpose. Maybe that lack of a backstory is part of the whole thing.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
So this theory, it argues that the Joker doesn't have a past because he's not a real person, not in the normal sense.
Hold on. Are you saying the Joker's not real?
Not in the way you and I are real. He's a figment of Bruce's imagination, a ghost in his own mind.
Like a phantom limb.
You got it. He only exists because Bruce created him. And that whole multiple choice line from The Killing Joke, this theory says that's Bruce's own guilt talking, his inability to accept one single truth about what happened.
So the Joker's past is messy because Bruce's mind is messy.
Right. It all goes back to that night in Crime Alley.
Man. So if all this is true, we've got Bruce Wayne, this billionaire playboy philanthropist, and the whole time he's sitting on this massive, horrible secret, a secret he might not even fully realize. That's a lot of weight to carry around.
And that's where all that money and influence come in.
Right. Money can buy a lot of silence.
Exactly. This theory is saying that Bruce uses his wealth and power to keep this whole thing under wraps, to make sure no one ever digs too deep.
Like, he controls the narrative, right?
Yeah.
If anyone gets too close to the truth, he can shut it down.
It's like a shield protecting him from himself.
And Arkham, that's not just a place to lock up the Joker. It's like a way to keep a part of himself contained.
Right, and it's interesting to think about Gotham itself in this context.
Yeah.
Gotham's always been this dark, messed up city. Maybe that's no accident.
You're saying Gotham is messed up because Bruce is messed up.
Maybe. It's like the city's a reflection of his own internal state.
Wow. That's heavy.
So let's talk about Batman for a second.
Okay.
We know he's got this no-killing rule, right? He's supposed to be all about justice, not revenge.
Right.
But even Batman, he's got his moments where he almost loses control, where you can see the rage just bubbling under the surface.
Oh, yeah. Like that time with Dr. Death. That was intense.
Exactly. And this theory is saying those moments, those are glimpses of the Joker, of Bruce's darker impulses breaking through.
So his no-killing rule, it's not just a moral thing. It's like a safety valve.
Right. It's the one thing keeping him from going full Joker.
Because if he lets himself cross that line, there might be no coming back.
Exactly. It's a constant struggle for him, this balancing act between control and chaos. And it's all happening inside his own head.
I guess that's really the core of this theory, isn't it? This whole Batman-Joker conflict, it's not an external battle. It's an internal one.
A war within.
Yeah. The Joker represents everything Bruce hates about himself, everything he's trying to bury.
Batman, he's like Bruce's attempt to keep that darkness in check, to pretend it's not there. But it is, and it will always be.
So every time Batman catches the Joker, it's like Bruce is trying to suppress that part of himself.
But he can never truly win.
Because they're the same person.
You get it. It's tragic, really, this never-ending battle between two halves of a broken soul.
Wow. This theory, it definitely paints a whole new picture of the Dark Knight and his nemesis.
Right. It makes you wonder what would happen if Bruce ever really figured this out, if he ever understood the truth about himself and the Joker.
Would his whole world fall apart?
Would Gotham itself crumble under the weight of his realization?
That's a question we might never know the answer to, but it definitely makes you think.
It makes you think about the nature of good and evil and whether the line between them is as clear as we think it is.
Big questions, no easy answers. That's why we love doing these deep dives. So there you have it, folks. A truly mind-bending theory that turns everything we thought we knew about Batman and the Joker on its head. Thanks for joining us, and keep those brain cells firing.